So I, for whatever reason, keep waking up at 5 in the morning. Okay, so do the math here. I don't know why.
Right.
And that apparently isn't early enough to beat traffic anymore for some reason. But that's fine unless you don't go to bed till like midnight. And for some reason last night, I stayed up to the bitter end of that Suns game and was like, I have to watch every second of this. They're only down by 23. What if they come back?
I know.
What is going on with this basketball team?
I don't know. That is brutal right there. Where do you begin on this one, Basinonians, honestly? I think I have to begin with the bold-faced, honest truth that the Clippers look like the better team.
All right, let's start there.
And I did not expect to see that once again. With the big three out on the floor right there, they look at sometimes you get beat. Sometimes you're not the better team. Sometimes you go out there and, okay, you might be the better team collectively, but this game, you're going to lose a game. It happens all the time. Happens all the time in the NBA, where suddenly you get beat. You're on a roll, whatever it may be, and you get beat. Even though you might be the better team, it happens in every sport, as we all know, and you might be the better team, but you get beat one night. You know what? It looked like the Clippers were the better team, and since they played them just 5 days ago as well, now they're 0-2 against the Clippers.
Yeah, and it was the same thing, the game a couple of days ago, too. So that's now twice in a week where watching the game, you're like, oh, okay, the Clippers are just better. And, that happens if you're a fan of a lot of teams. And we watch the Cardinals, and you watch the Cardinals play San Francisco earlier this season. Okay, San Francisco's better. Okay. But it wasn't supposed to be that way with the Suns this year, unless maybe you were watching them play Denver, and we're like, okay, nobody really has an answer for Jokic. They are now, in this stat, I don't even know why I pulled this together during the fourth quarter of the game last night, Wolf, but I did. You want to be in the top 6 in your conference, right? So those top 6 teams right now are Minnesota, Oklahoma City, Denver, the Clippers, Sacramento, and Dallas. Those are the top 6 teams. The Suns' record against those 6 teams this season is 1-7. How many times have you watched a game this season and been like, oh, okay, well, the other team's just better? Because I've had the same reaction when they played Sacramento. I mean, they handled Minnesota. Both times they've played the Clippers, certainly when they played Denver. I didn't really have that reaction against Dallas, but I don't think mentally I will allow myself to ever have that reaction against Luka, even if it's true. 1-7 against the top 6 teams in the Western Conference. I don't want to be alarmist or hit the panic button, but that's not going to work in the playoffs.
No, it is not going to work. And once again, we understand, speaking of work, that the Phoenix Suns are a work in progress. We get that. We understand it. The big three, they got to come together. But it just seems like it's not happening. That was a weird thought for me to have as I'm watching this game. The Iron Maiden moment, as I like to call it in the Wolf League compound, where it terrifies you. Imagine the Iron Maiden. I'm not talking about the band, Rick, so don't go ahead and play any Iron Maiden for us, okay? I'm talking about the Iron Maiden, where they used to put a bucket on your head, basically, okay? Drill some holes into it. And
I really only thought it was a
face. Band. Yeah, no, Iron
okay.
Maiden. Okay, it's something that they used to have, a torture device, as a matter of fact, back in the Middle Ages, okay? Google it, my young crunks. It used to be something that was really, really bad, of course. The Iron Maiden moment. Terrifying. It's a terrifying thing when you think about it. But watching this team play and watching them go out and get beat by the Clippers, and it looked like the Clippers just were flat out better. I'm not ready for that. I'm not.
No, I'm not either.
I know there's a lot of people that like the Clippers in the West.
That's
I understand
fine.
that.
I had this conversation last week. The Clippers are probably better than I thought they were going to be this season because they're healthy. I mean, I got to see it in the playoffs. I don't really want to see it in the playoffs, but if they have Kawhi, and Kawhi's, when he's healthy, he's one of the best players in the world, and if James Harden is kind of at that point in his career where he's like, look, I just want to win, I mean, that's a dangerous team, but the bigger picture is what you just said, and we had this thought totally independently. We didn't, say this to each other before the show. You're watching a game, and you're like, oh, okay, the other team's just better. And, the Clippers knew they were better. And it's not the first time it's happened this season where it's like, oh, okay, yeah, the Suns are a work in progress. Why aren't the Clippers a work in progress?
Right, exactly.
They just got James Harden.
How about their big three?
Irritating.
It is irritating. It really is. And it's irritating because the intensity index, have you heard me talk about the intensity
Oh, not this
index?
season, though. This is the first time you broke it out this season.
Yeah, I broke it out, as a matter of fact. Offensive rebounds, steals, and blocks. Okay, to me, that, are you ready to play? Are you ready to go? The intensity index. Are you ready to go out in play? Are you ready to work? Are you ready to get a little greasy and a little dirty on the offensive end and the offensive glass? Are your hands active? To me, offensive rebounds, steals, and blocks, the Clippers were plus 10. And anytime you have double-digit numbers, it's almost a guaranteed win. Almost guaranteed. If you have double-digit numbers with the intensity index, which the Clippers had, plus 10, and offensive rebounds, steals, and blocks. It's a plus-minus system, and they destroyed the Suns for the most part in that regard. Now, I know it got a little sideways, especially in that fourth quarter, but it's getting a little sideways on the Suns the entire season right now. I'm not panicking. I'm not one of these guys. I realize it's going to take some time for these guys to actually get together. I'm not worried about the big three as much as I'm worried about the team and how the team is playing.
Well, it's hard to watch these games and not think like, okay, is what they're doing on defense, is that fixable this season? Everything else I look at and I watch the game and I'm like, okay, and I know I just said, why aren't the Clippers a work in progress, but the Suns are? I don't get that. I really don't. Why the Clippers can just be like, okay, we had a guy and we're fine. We don't need 3 months to figure it out. But whatever. I mean, we're halfway through the season almost. The Suns still have time to figure it out and kind of, get everybody into their roles. It was weird. Grayson Allen had like 3 or 4 shots in the game last night. He's been one of your hotter players. You're not going to take the ball out of KD or Booker or Beal's hands, obviously, for him. But you figure he probably has earned a few more shots than like none. But it's the defense. You look at the defense, you're like, I'm not sure that's going to get – it's got to get better, but is it going to get better enough where it's – 37 points allowed in the fourth quarter again last night. The Clippers needed a basket. They're like, oh, we'll just go down and get it. They're not going to stop us.
Look, they gave up 71 points in the first half. And the Clippers scored 101 after 3 quarters.
Which is an improvement from the first game where they scored 107 after 3 quarters.
What is going – come on. Come on. Man, that is of every number. And this is more than a number because we've seen this before. This continues to happen. And that's why the names matter. Your name is your number and your number is your name. But the numbers are scary, but so are the names when you stop and think about it that are out on the floor. And then here's the numbers where you're giving up 62% from the floor to the Clippers. 52% beyond the arc. And I realize they're one of the better three-point shooting teams in the association. Number 2, as a matter of fact, going into last night. But still, where is the competitiveness on the defensive end of the floor?
You can write it off as, hey, the Clippers are really good, and there's truth to that. But the problem is the Suns are supposed to be really good. So it should – the 1-7 stat against the top 6 teams in the West, it's I can't even poke holes in it with optimism.
It's some of your best work, Luke.
Some of my most depressing work.
Thanks for watching Wolf and Luke. Tap to see more and click the button in the middle to subscribe to Arizona Sports.